Let me continue the translation for you. Speaking of Hishikin, also known as Zixiao, his study was located on the eastern side of Taoxi, with the entrance facing an endless expanse of open field. One evening, he went out for a stroll and saw a woman riding a donkey, followed by a young man. The woman appeared to be around 50 years old and carried herself with grace. As for the young man, he seemed to be around 15 or 16 years old, exuding a remarkable handsomeness that even surpassed that of beautiful young girls. Hishikin had a known inclination for same-sex relationships, and upon seeing this young man, he couldn't help but be captivated. His gaze remained fixed, his posture elevated, and he watched the young man until he disappeared into the distance before returning to his study. The next day, Hishikin was up early, waiting for the arrival of the young man. It wasn't until nightfall that the young man once again passed by his door. Hishikin hurriedly approached him, extending a warm welcome, and with a smile on his face, asked where the young man was coming from. The young man replied, "I'm coming from my maternal grandfather's house." Hishikin then earnestly invited the young man inside to rest for a while, but the young man declined, stating that he didn't have the time. Hishikin insisted that he stay for a moment, grabbing onto him and not letting go. Reluctantly, the young man entered the house. However, after only a brief stay, he insisted on saying his farewells, explaining that he couldn't linger any longer. Hishikin had no choice but to hold on to the young man's hand and invite him to leave, while also urging him to come back to play again. The young man simply nodded in agreement and left. From then on, Hishikin yearned for the young man like he was starving or thirsty. He came and went daily, his mind in turmoil as he gazed at the door, unable to keep his feet still. One day, when the sun was only halfway down the horizon, the young man suddenly appeared. Hishikin was overjoyed, rushing forward to greet him and quickly instructing the servants to prepare wine for them. He inquired about the young man's name, to which he replied, "My surname is Huang, and I'm the 9th in the family order. Because I'm still young, I haven't been given a name yet." Hishikin then asked, "Why do you come and go from here so frequently?" The young man replied, "My mother is at my maternal grandfather's house and frequently falls ill, so I need to visit her often." After a few rounds of wine, the young man felt the urge to leave. Hishikin held onto his hand, blocking his path, and even locked the door. With a face reddened by embarrassment, the young man reluctantly sat down once more. They lit a lamp and engaged in conversation. The young man was so gentle that he seemed like a girl. When Hishikin's words became flirtatious, the young man blushed and turned his face towards the wall. Not long after, Hishikin dragged him to sleep together, but Jiulang disagreed, insisting that they couldn't sleep together. Hishikin tried again and again. Jiulang unbuttoned his clothes and put on his pants to lie down. Hishikin blew out the lamp, and after a while went over to share the same pillow with Jiulang, hugged him again, and asked for a personal relationship with him. Jiulang said angrily, "I thought you were a gentleman, so I stayed here. Your behavior is really the love of animals." After a while, the morning stars were shining in the sky, and Jiulang got up and laughed. Hishikin was afraid that Jiulang might become indifferent and not return, so he continued to wait for him every day, wandering aimlessly and yearning for him, gazing at the North Star. After a few more days, Jiulang finally came again. Hishikin welcomed him with joy, expressing his apologies. He insisted Jiulang come inside, and they sat down to chat and laugh, with Hishikin secretly relieved that Jiulang didn't hold on to their past conflicts. After a while, they went to bed, and Hishikin once again fervently pleaded with Jiulang. Jiulang said, "I've already remembered your affectionate intentions, but must our affection be expressed this way?" Hishikin continued to sweet-talk and entangle Jiulang, saying he only desired closeness. Jiulang, helpless, had to agree. However, once Jiulang fell asleep, Hishikin secretly engaged in indecent behavior. When Jiulang woke up and discovered this, he was furious. He put on his clothes and left in the middle of the night. Hishikin became melancholic, as if he had lost something precious. He wasted away, neglecting sleep and food, growing thinner and more haggard each day. The only thing he did was send his servants to look for Jiulang everywhere. One day, Jiulang passed by Hishikin's door again, intending to leave directly. The servant grabbed his clothes and pulled him into the house. Seeing Hishikin's emaciated appearance, Jiulang was greatly surprised and quickly asked for the reason. Hishikin truthfully explained, crying tears like rain. Jiulang whispered, "My intention was truly because of our love, which is neither beneficial for you nor for me. Since you insist on this, why should I be concerned anymore?" Hishikin was extremely happy. After Jiulang left, Hishikin's illness improved significantly, and within a few days, he fully recovered. As expected, Jiulang came again, and the two became intimate. Jiulang said, "Tonight, I reluctantly followed your wishes, but this can't become a common occurrence." He then added, "I have a request. Can you fulfill it?" Hishikin asked what it was, and Jiulang said, "My mother is suffering from a heart condition. Only Dr. Qi Yuang's Preheven pill can treat her. Since you have a good relationship with the doctor, I believe you can obtain it." Hishikin immediately agreed. Before leaving, Jiulang reminded him several times. Hishikin went to the city and obtained the medicine, giving it to Jiulang in the evening. Jiulang was very pleased and reached out to shake Hishikin's hand in gratitude. Hishikin then took the opportunity to ask Jiulang for physical intimacy, but Jiulang declined, saying, "Stop bothering me. I want to find you a beautiful woman who is 1,000 times better than me." Hishikin asked who it was, and Jiulang said, "It's my cousin, incredibly beautiful. If you agree, I'll arrange a marriage for you." Hishikin just smiled and didn't answer. Jiulang took the medicine and left. After 3 days, Jiulang came again to ask for medicine. Hishikin was annoyed that Jiulang took so long this time and sensed a hidden message in his words. Jiulang said, "Originally, I didn't want to hurt you, so I deliberately distanced myself from you. Since you don't understand, please don't regret it in the future." From then on, Jiulang visited Hishikin every day, but he asked for medicine every 3 days. Dr. Qi Yuan complained about the frequency of medicine requests and said, "3 doses of my medicine are enough. Why have you taken so many and not improved?" He gave Hishikin 3 doses at once. Then, Dr. Qi Yuan looked at Hishikin and said, "You don't look well. Are you sick?" Hishikin replied, "No." Dr. Qi Yuan felt his pulse and exclaimed in shock, "You have ghostly pulses. Your illness is in the lesser yin. If you don't take care of yourself, your life is in danger." Hishikin returned and told Jiulang about the doctor's words. Jiulang sighed, "Truly a remarkable doctor. I am a fox. Our relationship has lasted so long, and I'm afraid it might not be your good fortune." Hishikin even suspected that Jiulang was deceiving him, so he didn't give Jiulang all 3 doses of medicine, fearing he wouldn't come again. Not long after, Hishikin indeed fell ill. He called Dr. Qi Yuan to examine him, and the doctor said, "Because you weren't honest that day, your soul has already left your body. Even the most renowned doctor can't help now." Jiulang visited Hishikin every day, saying, "You didn't heed my advice, and now you've reached this point." Soon after, Hishikin passed away, and Jiulang cried bitterly before leaving. Before this, in the same county, there was a certain official who had been classmates with Hishikin in his youth. He was selected to enter the Hanlin Academy at the age of 17. At that time, the Shaanxi provincial government was corrupt and tyrannical. Because he bribed high-ranking officials in the court, he wasn't exposed. However, this official reported his wrongdoing and was subsequently dismissed under charges of overstepping his duties. The provincial government even promoted him to be the chief of this province and constantly searched for any evidence against the official. When this official was young, he gained some reputation and once sought the favor of a rebellious king. The provincial chief obtained their past correspondence and used it to threaten the official. Frightened, the official took his own life. His wife also hanged herself. During the night after the official's death, he suddenly woke up and said, "I am Zixiao." When people asked him questions, he talked about his family matters. Only then did everyone understand that it was Zixiao's spirit returning to his body. They invited him to stay, but he refused, leaving the house and running to his family. The provincial governor suspected some trickery was involved and was determined to frame Taishi the official. He sent people to demand 1,000 taels of silver from him. He Shikin had no choice but to comply, even though he didn't have the silver. Just when he was worried, he received news that Jiulang had come. He Shikin spoke to Jiulang with joy, a mixture of sorrow and happiness. Then, he once again sought physical intimacy. Jiulang said, "Do you have 3 lives?" He Shikin replied, "I regret the hardships of life. Death would be more comfortable." He then shared his grievances with Jiulang. After thinking for a while, Jiulang said, "Fortunately, we are meeting again. You are now alone, and the cousin I mentioned earlier is intelligent and beautiful. She can share your worries." He Shikin wanted to see her. Jiulang said, "It's not difficult. Tomorrow, she'll accompany my old mother as they leave from here. Pretend to be my elder brother. When I come looking for water, say the donkey ran away. That means you agree." They finalized their plan and parted ways. The next day at noon, Jiulang indeed passed by with the young woman in front of He Shikin's house. He Shikin greeted them politely, chatted with Jiulang, and cast a sidelong glance at the young woman. He saw that she had delicate eyebrows and beautiful eyes, resembling a celestial being. Jiulang asked for tea, and He Shikin invited him inside. Jiulang told the young woman, "Sister 3, don't be afraid. This is my sworn brother. Rest here for a while before continuing." Jiulang helped the young woman off the donkey and tied the animal outside. While He Shikin was pouring tea, he looked at Jiulang and said, "If what you said last time cannot be fulfilled, then today might be my last." The young woman seemed to realize they were plotting against her and started to leave, saying quietly, "Let's go." He Shikin quickly shouted loudly. The donkey ran away. Jiulang, upon hearing this, rushed to chase after the donkey. He Shikin grabbed the young woman and attempted to initiate intimacy. She was terrified. Her face turned purple, embarrassed as if imprisoned, and she kept calling for Jiulang to help. Jiulang didn't respond. The young woman said, "You have a wife. Why are you treating others this way?" He Shikin claimed to be single. The young woman continued, "You must swear by the mountains and rivers not to abandon me before I'll comply with you." He Shikin then made an oath to the heavens, and only then did the young woman reluctantly agree. Afterward, Jiulang returned. The young woman displayed an angry demeanor and didn't show Jiulang a good face. Jiulang said, "This he Zixiao, once a scholar and now an official, is my dearest friend. You can trust him, even if you tell Anne about this. She won't blame us." Until the evening, He Shikin convinced the young woman to stay. However, she insisted on leaving due to concerns about her aunt's reaction. Jiulang volunteered to leave on his own. He Shikin and the young woman lived together for a few days. Then, a woman with a maid passed by their door. The woman was around 40 years old, with a face and expression reminiscent of Sanniang, He Shikin's mother. He Shikin realized that the woman was his mother. She also recognized the young woman and asked in surprise, "Why are you here?" The young woman was extremely embarrassed and speechless. So He Shikin invited his mother into the house, paid his respects, and explained the situation. His mother smiled and said, "Jiulang is still quite childish. Why didn't he discuss this with me?" The young woman personally cooked a meal for his mother. After the meal, his mother left. He Shikin was delighted to have the beautiful young woman, but he still wore a worried expression due to the matter of the 1,000 taels of silver. The young woman asked him about the reason, and he recounted the situation. She smiled and said, "Jiulang alone can resolve this matter. Why are you worried?" He Shikin asked for her advice, and she said, "I've heard that the provincial governor enjoys music and has a fondness for young boys. Both of these are Jiulang's strengths. Appeal to his preferences, offer Jiulang to him, and you can settle old grievances and seek revenge for new ones." He Shikin was concerned that Jiulang wouldn't agree. The young woman said, "Just plead with him earnestly." A day later, when He Shikin saw Jiulang, he knelt down to greet him. Jiulang was surprised and asked, "We've been close for generations. Whenever you need my assistance, I wouldn't hesitate to help. Why are you acting this way?" He Shikin explained the plan, and Jiulang looked troubled after hearing it. The young woman said, "I've already given myself to my husband. Who caused all of this? Suppose he is killed midway and I'm abandoned. What will I do?" Jiulang had no choice but to agree. After he Shikan and Jiulang finalized their plan, they wrote a letter to Wang Taishi, a friend they were close with, and introduced Jiulang's participation. Wang Taishi understood the meaning of the letter, arranged a feast, invited the provincial governor to drink, and had Jiulang dressed as a beautiful woman to perform the sky demon dance, appearing just like a young woman. The provincial governor became more and more captivated by the sight. He vigorously pressed Wang Taishi for Jiulang, offering a substantial sum of money to ensure success. Wang Taishi pretended to ponder, acting as if he faced a dilemma. After thinking for a long time, he finally conceded, claiming he was sacrificing love for the sake of the provincial governor. The provincial governor was overjoyed, and his previous grudges disappeared. With Jiulang in his possession, the provincial governor was inseparable from him, not leaving his side for a moment. His original wives and concubines, as well as his maids, were all treated as insignificant. Jiulang's lifestyle, food, and belongings were equivalent to those of a nobleman. He even gifted Jiulang 10,000 taels of silver. After 6 months, the provincial governor fell ill. Jiulang knew the end was near for the provincial governor. He loaded treasures and pretended to escort him back to his hometown. Soon after, the provincial governor passed away. Jiulang took out the silver, built a house, furnished it, hired servants and maids, and had his mother and aunt come to live with him. Jiulang went in and out with a large entourage of carriages and horses. People had no idea he was a fox.
Alright, this story has come to an end. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you.